I'm never gonna look at the word saddle the same now. Bet you're wondering how I got here. I'll fill you with so much it'll corrode your plated pussy. Semen doing semen. Get it? Oh, bad joke, bad joke. No, no, no. There's a devil now? What? You could have been slapping mother and turning them to gold this whole time? I'm gonna mark you with so much your skin won't even look gold anymore. I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. At this point, I'm just thinking, Raven Kennedy wrote this at 3 o'clock in the morning and had not a single person look over it before publishing. Hello, hi, my name's Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. First of all, this makeup is not it. I was gonna film a different video today and then I realized that I had little time and my schedule is all thrown off. I was supposed to look like a particular author. If you know who it is, your guess is down below, because I wanted to film 2 videos today. I'm not gonna do that. I don't have the time. But Monday's video is going to be an author who does their makeup sort of like this. Let me know if you have any guesses for who Monday's author behaving badly is. Oh, why is my heart beating so fast? Oh, where's my iced tea? Fuck. Secondly, a little housekeeping notice. I started a Patreon! Yay! I did start a Patreon. No pressure, but if anybody wants to support the work that I'm doing here in that way, I do have 2 tiers. There's a $3 tier called A Quart of Shits and Giggles and a $7 tier called Potato Starch Marxists, if you remember this video.
If you're in kindergarten, you're sending a 5-year-old to be taught by teachers who may or may not like God. They might be starch Marxists. They might be starch Marxists.
Anyways, if you want to support me in that way, the content you'll be getting will be like a day early, and also you'll have like access to behind the scenes stuff and my eternal gratitude. So if you want to support me that way, I do have it linked below now. It is there should you be interested. If not, that's okay, I get it. I wouldn't pay for this shit either. But it's there if you want it. And thank you to my first patron, Rachel. Not myself, it's actually somebody else whose name is Rachel and she spells it right. So thank you to Rachel for that, I appreciate you. Okay, that's it for housekeeping. So I talked about Monday's video and then Patreon, and I think that's it. All right, you're here to hear a review for Gild by Raven Kennedy. Welcome. Welcome to another episode of Can I Trust Book Talk to give me recommendations? The answer is The thing about Gild is that actually 2 of my friends, Sel and Lo, who I talk about here quite often, they like this series. I mean, they're not like, wow, gold star, top tier literature, but they're like, enjoyable. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. So I read book 1. They were right about book 1. Rocky start. 2.5 stars. So let's get into it. Why is there so much noise going on right now? Gild by Raven Kennedy. Let's find my notes, shall we? Okay, I honestly do not know where to begin. This book knew exactly where it was going to begin, with an orgy, which nobody warned me about. Thanks a lot. You bitches just let me go in blind. Let's just read the synopsis. Synopsis. Am I Sean Connery now? The Fae abandoned this world to us, and the ones with power rule. Gold. Gold floors, gold walls, gold furniture, gold clothes. In Highbell, in the castle built into the frozen mountains, everything is made of gold. Even me. King Midas rescued me, dug me out of the slums and placed me on a pedestal. I'm called his precious. Yeah, about that. I'm sorry, all I can think is this.
My precious.
Precious? It's been called that before, but not by you.
His favored. I'm the woman he gold touched to show everyone that I belong to him, to show how powerful he is. He gave me protection, and I gave him my heart. I don't know why I'm reading like this. And even though I don't leave the confines of the palace, I'm safe. Until war comes to the kingdom and a deal is struck. Wait, that's not exactly what happened. That's a lie. Suddenly my trust is broken, my love is challenged, and I realize that everything I thought I knew about Midas might be wrong. Because these bars I'm kept in, no matter how gilded, are still just a cage. But the monsters on the other side might make me wish I'd never left. The Myth of Midas Reimagined. This compelling adult fantasy series is as addictive as it is unexpected. With romance, intrigue, and danger, the gilded world of Aurea will rip you from... Will rip you? My god, am I still thinking about Commander Rip? Will grip you from the very first page. Well, yeah, it'll do something from the very first page, because as I said, the very first page is an orgy. So that was, you're just like immediately come upon by genitals. Yeah, page 1, chapter 1, 0 warning, orgy. Aggressive sex being had. And the main character is like watching from her cage, it's very odd. And you're and there's a moment where you're like waiting for the main character to be like, bet you're wondering how I got here. I am in fact wondering how the fuck you are covered in gold. You are made of gold, sitting inside a gold cage, like very expensive parrot, watching a bunch of other people have sex with the man you love. I am in fact wondering how we got here. I will say the writing's not bad, which I was so thankful for. Y'all know that I read such bad books here all the time, and I'm just like so tired. I'm so tired. So it's nice that the prose wasn't terrible. It's not like, wow, but it's not trying and failing to be Laini Taylor, Piper CJ, and it's not like absolute nonsense like The Pawn and the Puppet, and it's not completely ridiculous drivel like J.M. Buckler's series. It's not perfect, but it could use a little polishing, but I think that it's a good start. It's good for a first start. That's as nice as I can possibly be, isn't it? See, sometimes I'm not mean. I don't go into every book looking for bad stuff. It's normally just there on its own. Here's my main issue though. This book has no plot. Stuff happens, much like J.M. Buckler's first book actually, and second and third. Stuff is happening, but there is no plot arc here. There is not really like a structured act of inciting incident, climax, and then, I mean, there's a lot of climaxing, but not in the plot structure way. There's like inciting incident, climax, and then resolution, right? That's like your basic 3-act. It does not have that. And this frustrates me because I really personally like structured acts like that, and I have a better time with it, but also when a book does not have a structure like that, there's a trap that authors fall into. They meander. In this book, oof, does it meander. Holy shit. I found myself skimming a few times when stuff was supposed to be happening, and I'm like, I don't need to read all these words. I can gather what's happening. Can we skip to the good part? Please, for the love of God? And I had a feeling actually that this was going to happen when I opened this book because the synopsis is not good. Like, it's not written well. It's not really clear what the Fae have to do with the rest of the synopsis despite it being the first line. It's very low on detail in general. You read it, it goes in one ear, it goes out the other ear. Nothing really sticks because there's no standout details besides the Fae. And then the Fae don't show up until 80% through the book. Unfortunately, the book is just like that. It actually easily could have been a 4-star read for me if the author had utilized a developmental editor. I'm gonna give you the basic rundown and then give you more of my like detailed thoughts. This is not going to be as long as my other videos because I actually have less to complain about overall, but still like a 2.5 star read. And though I will continue the series because I've heard it gets better and I trust my friends in that. I don't so much trust TikTok because again, Zodiac Academy, but I do trust my friends when they say that it gets better and like it's worth, you know, the fun you have reading it. And I will say that it kind of is like compulsively readable, but also meandering a lot. So like I do want to know more about the world and more about the Fae because this is a really interesting take on Fae that I have not seen before. However, this first book could have been stronger. All right, basic rundown. We open on an orgy. Again, I don't know how many times I'm going to bring that up. I'm still salty. Midas is boning his collective of royal saddles, which are his royal sex workers that work just for him. And Oren, our main character, is his sex worker saddle who was turned into gold. He turned her into gold. Just her skin and her irises and wait, irises? Which is the colored part? That part. Her hair, the rest of her, she has like white teeth and whites in her eyes, but everything else is gold. So that's interesting. Again, an interesting take on, you know, the King Midas retelling. I've only read one other King Midas retelling. It was A Touch of Gold, and it was a fine book, solid 3, but this is wildly different than that. That was like the daughter of King Midas and she touches things and they turn to gold. Anyway, this is not that book. So Oren, there's like a moment where again like, wow, how did we get here, Oren? What the fuck happened to you? And she's sitting in her gilded cage and she's like, man, I'm really not happy about having to watch everybody fuck and not be a part of it. And also she kind of shows signs of like having a drinking problem. And we get a lot of internal monologue from her that just, that was rocky. A lot of it could have been nixed. Midas gets a visit from another kingdom. Another thing that I liked about this is that the kingdoms are all named like 4th kingdom, 5th kingdom, 6th kingdom, which reminded me of one of my favorite miniseries, though wildly problematic, the 10th kingdom, which also actually has a King Midas type thing where it's like the guy's pinky turns things to gold, and just a great time. So anyway, it reminded me of that, which I've talked about the 10th kingdom in another video. It's nostalgia. Anyway, a guy from another kingdom comes to Midas, and this guy and Midas have like a partnership going on, and Midas has turned some stuff to gold for this guy, you know, several times. And by the way, Midas, while he can turn stuff to gold, he is only the king because he married into this kingdom, because he married the heir, the woman. So yeah, he has a wife, but he fucks a bunch of saddles. God, I hate that word. I'm never gonna look at the word saddle the same now. Anyway, so Midas and this ally king, I think his name was Felky. We're gonna call him something else. We'll call him Fred. So King Fred is a gross misogynist, and he's like, Midas, my man, my main bro, my main dude, what's up? I'd really like to fuck your golden sex worker. It's really gross. And in fact, the whole series as a whole is just like a lot of misogyny. There's 2 different parts where 2 different men who desperately want to sexually assault our main character Oren talking about filling her golden cunt with cum, and it's like, ooh, wow, please no. Please, for the love of God, I would rather be dead than read those words in a book twice. Ooh, wow, please. No. So, King Fred is gross, and King Fred is sitting around with Midas, and, you know, they're shooting the shit, and Midas is like, idea, Freddy, my boy, Freddy Fred, my old partner, man. What if we, you and I, partners, broskies, invade the 4th kingdom together, where this king who is referred to as like King Rot because he makes things rot, he lives, and they hate him. So King Midas is like, oh, I want to invade, you and me, we could invade together. What do you say, Freddy, old boy? And Fred's like, oh, I couldn't really redirect my army. And Midas is like, if you called him right now, you could. Call. There's not a phone. You get me. He's like, if you do it right now. And Fred's like, I'll do it if you let me fuck Oren. And Midas is like sitting there, and Oren's like, nah, he wouldn't do that to me. He loves me. And Midas is like, done deal, let's shake on it. The fuck? And Oren's like, I thought he loved me. He was just fucking a whole room of people, but okay, Oren. All right. So Midas and Freddy send their armies to invade 4th Kingdom. And all of this happens off page, which sucks because that's the action I wanted to see. And then 4th Kingdom is taken. Or is it? So they're having a like, yay, we just invaded, turning up, getting wasted, treating women who are sex workers like absolute dog shit. You know, just the typical misogyny and fantasy that I hate to see and I'm tired of. And as for just for the whole book, there's just like this constant misogyny for absolutely no reason. And then Fred, King Fred is like, well, it's time for me to fuck your golden gal. So toodaloo, I'll be over there if you need us too bad. Well, wouldn't you know it, a shoulder? My God, what is happening? Why am I channeling Sean Connery today? A soldier from King Fred's army shows up and is like, hey, we went there and we got our asses kicked. We didn't take 4th Kingdom. And so they all convene in a room together, and Oren's like, oh fuck, Midas set this shit up. What the fuck? I was about to get sexually assaulted and now she's about to get stabbed because King Fred realizes, hey, Midas, you set me up, you bastard. You traitorous motherfucker. You absolute scoundrel. You backstabbed me. J'accuse. I don't know if I used that right. So he's like, what? Traitor. So King Fred tries to kill Oren, but instead gets stabbed by Oren's guard, Digby, and she's left with like a little woundy wound on her neck. And evil ally King Fred, who by the way was described repeatedly as being disgustingly fat. Like, we get it. Fat phobia is inherently linked to whenever a man is fat, he's automatically evil. We get it. We get it. Only fat men can be bad. Got it. Thank you for that. Once again, women writing fantasy. Love that for me, having to read that again. And Midas is like, yeah, I did it. I set him up and I do it again. Bop, bop. And now Midas is set up to take over King Fred's kingdom as he set up the whole time. And Orin is like, wow, I kind of feel like Midas does not love me as much as he said that he did. And he comes to her cage and apologizes and then has like really awkward sex with her. So the thing about Midas and Orin is that she has been through a lot where she like kept getting like, she was sold into child trafficking, and then she, after her parents had died because of raiders, and then she ended up in a position where like Orin had saved her when she was younger, and she was 15 and he was 22, and he like basically started grooming her and had sex with her. And that's really gross. I just kind of wish that like on page we had more of a conversation about how he did that and how insidious that is, and how we got to where we are now, where it's like he groomed her and then he set her on this path where he's like, he can treat her however he wants. He can set her in a cage and have him have sex with a bunch of other people while she watches. Like I really would have liked to see that journey like played out on page from the beginning, so that we could see how she got to this mental state where that was something that she accepted, because I don't feel like that got fleshed out enough. I was just like, wow, I feel like I missed a lot of this journey where I would more understand how she got to where she is now. Bet you're wondering how I got here. I'm still kind of wondering. Midas goes to begin taking over Fifth Kingdom. Again, this is off page. Orin stays behind with the other royal saddles, and then he sends for them all. They're getting escorted by royal guards, and we get chapter after chapter of boring ass traveling scenes. And the only reason that we're even getting these traveling scenes is to set up a new friendship relationship with a guy named Sale, who becomes Orin's guard along with Digby, her regular guard. And there really was no reason not to put Sale as co-guards with Digby from the beginning and have that friendship be throughout the entire book rather than just the last just 20% of it. I don't understand what the fucking point was, but it literally, the traveling scenes only served the purpose to set up that relationship. Like, we could have put Sale from the beginning and then just smashed that shit right out of there. There was no fucking point to it. I could have learned everything I needed to know about Sale and his life before, and his brothers and his mom from the beginning of the book. She could have been friends with him all along, but no, it was like a cheap trick to get me to like care for a minute, and then they are come upon by snow pirates. And I will admit, I like the idea of snow pirates. They are wildly misogynistic, just like everyone else in this book, but I like the idea of snow pirates. They have these like fire dragon type things that pull their boats because they're obviously on snow, not on water. Snow pirates. So they're come upon by snow pirates. The snow pirates take all of the royal saddles and the horses. They kill all the guards, including Sale, who like, there's like this really like emotionally charged moment it's supposed to be, but I was just like I saw this coming, because the reason that you introduced him at all was obviously to kill him off. You don't fool me. You didn't take time to cultivate this friendship enough for me to give a shit. So then Sale, because his name is again Sale, the pirates are like, oh, it'd be so funny if we kill him and then string up his body. And then Orin takes it upon herself to use her, oh, I forgot to tell you about the ribbons. So Orin, for some reason, has ribbons that come out of her back. They're always there. They are part of her body. Yeah. Well, she uses these ribbons to cut Sale down and then try to throw him over the ship side into the snow so that they won't be disrespectful and degrade his body. So she has these ribbons, and then the captain of the ship is like, hey, you're the king's royal saddle. I want to bone you. And again, there's another man saying, I want to fill your hoo-ha with crusty juice. So I just can't say the other sentence anymore. I can't possibly be bothered. So he's like, yeah, I'm gonna rape you, and it's just ridiculous. So then all of a sudden, Fourth Kingdom shows up, right? Not the king, but the commander who works for the king, called Commander Rip. And she's like, oh shit, this dude is like so scary. And he says, all right, I'm gonna give you some gold, and I want all of King Midas's shit. I want his guards, I want his horses, and I want the sex workers, including that one, the golden one you're trying to sneak away from me. And the Captain Pirate is like, ah, shucks, I was really hoping to sexually assault her first. And he's like, actually, come back later and then you can have all the stuff. So he takes the Pirate King, not Jack Sparrow, takes Oren and another sex worker to his room and violently rapes, really grotesquely rapes this other sex worker. It was really violent and disturbing, to be honest. And so Oren is like, stop! And then she walks up to this motherfucker who's got his dick out, pants down, walks up to him and slaps him in the neck, and he turns to gold. What? You could have been slapping motherfuckers and turning them to gold this whole time? What? And you weren't doing that? You just let Sale die? You could have turned all these bitches to gold? I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. She obviously knew that she could do this, and she saved it until he had already raped a fellow sex worker? What? So he's turned to gold, and then her and the other sex worker struggle for several pages, like page after page after page after page, to get him out the window. It's ridiculous. At this point, I'm just thinking, Raven Kennedy wrote this at 3 o'clock in the morning and had not a single person look over it before publishing. That's what happened here. I'm convinced. So then the pirates come in and they're like, hey, what happened to the captain? He's not here and the gold's not here. They threw that out the window too. But he left his hat and his coat. And instead of just being like, oh, there was actually a coat and a hat in the chest as well, and he just took that and left. They were both gold. And you know, the pirates buying that, they're like, I don't know where the code is. I don't know. Of course, these pirates are once again being like, I'm gonna cover you in semen. And it's like, why is there always a threat of semen? Oh my God. Semen doing semen. Get it? Oh, bad joke, bad joke. No, no, no. So, who should show up at the last possible second? Commander Rip. He takes his helmet off and he's like, hey, I'm actually hot. Haha, bet you didn't know. And I'm like, no, I knew. And he's covered in thorns. Thorns? Like little dots? I don't know. Here's a picture. But also he's got them like coming out of his back. And she's like, oh, you're Fae. And I'm like, wait, I'm very confused. So like, are you also Fae then? Because you've got stuff coming out your back too. So like, what? The magic not explained. I will tell you though that the origin story of how this world got connected to the Fae world was so fucking cool. Like, I think that the reason that this did not get 1.5 stars and instead gets 2.5 stars is because of that chunk of story alone. I loved it. I loved it. Just so weird. It was like there were 2 worlds and then a girl crossed over the bridge to the other world, and she fell in love with a Fae man who, like, through their love, roped the 2 worlds together and made a bridge that could access them without anybody getting hurt. I loved that. I loved that. That was so cool. The rest of it with like the semen threatening stuff, pass. So like, I actually do believe that Raven Kennedy has the ability to write good story, which is why I'm going to continue to give this series a chance. But my God, the misogyny and the rape threats were just a bit much. So in the end, it ends with like Commander Rip being like, you're coming with me. And she's like, I know what you are, you're Fae. And he's like, ha, could say the same about you. And you're like, how does this magic work again? So I'm just gonna point out a couple of things. So the fat phobia with King Fred was pretty gross. The saying things like, I'm gonna mark you with so much cum your skin won't even look gold anymore. Pretty gross. Hard pass on that. Please don't do that to me. Also, there were some descriptions that were just like, what the fuck? She said, a nearby fight makes me jump. The sound of fists against fists. People fight like this? Is that what you're saying? Fists against fists? Man, do you know how fighting works? Next time I'm mad at somebody, I'm gonna be like, ooh, put your fist to mine, brother. Another thing that didn't really make sense to me was how the like religion works. There was like talk of the divine, and the divine I thought was like a feminine thing, but then there were references to gods and goddesses. And then randomly she threw in a reference saying, twisted misshapen tree with thorned roots stripped of all leaves, 4 crooked branches, reaching out like the devil's claws. There's a devil now? What is this religion? So there's a pantheon, but there's also a devil? I'm so confused. And as I said, the whole thing with the Fae does not come into play until like 80% through the book, and you're like, but wait, so then how did Midas get his magic? And also, aren't you Fae then too? Because you have little ribbons coming out of your back. Speaking of the ribbons, the way that she describes them was very confusing to me, because like sometimes they're described as like being so pointy they can like cut people, in which case why didn't she always use them to hurt people? And then also they'd be soft, but then one time she described them as making a crinkly noise. Crinkly? Like, do I have anything like... Ribbons? Doing this? Ma'am? Again, the whole, I'll fill you with so much cum, it'll corrode your plated pussy. Please stop. And then Commander Rip is described as saying, the commander's voice is like a sinister purr. Rhysand, is that you? Is it Walmart Rhysand, kind of like Piper CJ's book, or are we getting at least like Target Rhysand now? And then the last thing that didn't make sense to me was, sadness fills my cheeks, holding them up into a makeshift smile. How does sadness fill your cheeks? Dead puppy, dead puppy, dead puppy. I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh, and the other thing. Listen, I don't know if Midas is supposed to be like very attractive. I don't remember what I think he's described as like, you know, blonde or whatever. Sort of like a Tamlin type character, probably. The problem is that this is how I imagine Midas, and I'll tell you why. Because he describes her as his precious all the time. Like, he says it a bazillion fucking times. And then at the end, when he receives word, you get one POV from King Midas right at the end. He receives word that the Fourth Kingdom now has Orin in their custody. And he's like, no! My favored, my gilded, my precious. She's been stolen from us, from me, and is being held in the enemy's clutches. That is literally fucking Smeagol. That is literally Gollum. So every time that I'm supposed to imagine this dude that Orin wants to get back to, all I can picture is Smeagol.
What's status, precious?
Which leads me down this road of thinking, does Orin look like Frodo holding the ring? I need that imagery to leave my brain permanently. However, I am intrigued by the whole concept of the Fae and the worlds being separated but then like brought together and then ripped apart again, and I think that Commander Rip sounds like an interesting dude. Sort of how like I thought Rhysand was interesting at one time, and then he turned out to be a anti-choice piece of shit. Fuck that guy. Man, I'm just gonna live in the sweet spot and pretend that Akomath is like the only book. But it was fun. I had a lot of fun with that. Is it good? No. Did I have fun? Yes. I miss having fun. So like, I want that feeling again. I want that feeling of like, oh, it's a found family and this guy's kind of broody and dark-haired, but like, oh, he's kind of flirty. I miss that. It was fun. It's like, it's just like, it's eating junk food. It's good. It's just enjoyable. And I want that back, but I hate the way that it ended. I just pretend the rest of the books don't exist. Anyway, that's my feelings on Gild by Raven Kennedy. I will read the next one. I am desperately hoping that she does not talk about gilded pussy anymore and semen and semen and I'm just tired of the semen, please. My God, I'm gonna get pregnant just holding this book. All right, that's my thoughts. Thanks for watching. Leave your thoughts on Gild by Raven Kennedy down below if you want to. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon. Now I can say that I'm one of the cool kids now. And you can also like and subscribe, or you can tip me on coffee. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments and questions down below, and I will see you next time. Bye! It actually easily could have been a 4-star read for me if the author had used... Man, I'm really tired of touching my hair.